When the sun starts to rise, the world offers something special. It's quiet. It's still, and in that quiet, there's a chance to begin again, to take control, to make a decision that says, today, I will lead my life. That early hour is not just a time, it's an opportunity. Most people sleep through it, but the ones who don't, those are the people who move forward while the rest fall behind. Starting your day with intention is one of the greatest advantages you can give yourself. You don't need fancy tools and you don't need more hours. What you need is structure, and that starts the moment you wake up. When you decide to begin your day with purpose, you give yourself the gift of direction. No more starting the day by reacting to everything around you. No more waking up already behind. You wake up with your hands on the wheel. It's easy to dismiss it. People say, it's just a morning. What difference does an hour make? But that hour builds into days. Those days shape your habits, and those habits carve the path of your life. If your first actions every day are focused, your mind learns discipline. If your first choices are intentional, your confidence grows. And when confidence grows, so does the belief that you're capable of handling whatever comes next. It's not about how long your routine is. It's about what you do with it. Wake up and drink a glass of water. Your body needs it. It's been resting for hours. That small act tells your system, we're getting started now. You stretch and your muscles loosen. You breathe deeply and your energy rises. You read something that feeds your mind, not your stress. You write down what you're going to do today, not 10 things, just 2 or 3 that truly matter. That's enough. You don't need a list that overwhelms you. You need clarity. When you write things down, your thoughts stop spinning. They begin lining up. When you move your body early, even for just 10 minutes, you shake off the sleep. Your mind becomes alert. You train yourself to act even when it's uncomfortable. That's what discipline is. And every time you choose to do it again, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your will. That is where real change begins. Most people wait for motivation to show up. But motivation follows action, not the other way around. The more you take small, deliberate steps each morning, the more your brain starts to trust you. You prove to yourself, I follow through. I don't delay. I show up for myself. That belief carries into everything: your work, your relationships, your dreams. When your morning is filled with purpose, distractions lose their power. You stop scrolling endlessly. You stop responding to everything around you. You stop letting the noise decide how you feel. You start deciding how you feel. You start shaping your day instead of surviving it. The way you begin often determines how you continue. Your mind needs direction, especially in the first hour of the day. If you don't give it direction, it will go wherever it wants. And where it goes, your day follows. If you begin your day stressed and rushed, your body stays tense for hours. If you begin your day focused and calm, you create a rhythm of control. That rhythm helps you think clearer. You make better decisions. You stop falling for distractions that offer quick comfort but cost you progress. Your life will not rise beyond the standard you set for your daily actions. When you treat your time with respect, your time gives you power. If you keep starting your day without direction, you're giving your power away. You hand it to your phone. You hand it to the news. You hand it to every other person's demands. But when you take the first hour and make it yours, you send a message. I am in charge of my life. Even the simplest routines can change your entire approach to the day. Sitting quietly and reviewing what matters to you. Reflecting on the kind of person you want to be today. Writing down a few lines about your goals. Taking a short walk to clear your head. These aren't dramatic acts, but they build something far more powerful than drama. They build consistency. And consistency is the foundation of growth. The people who succeed in life don't always have more talent or luck. Often they've just learned how to win the first hour of the day. They don't wake up perfect. They don't feel like it every time. But they've learned to show up anyway. That's the difference. The strength to do what needs to be done, even when you're not in the mood. And that strength can be trained every single morning. When you get up and begin with purpose, you start to notice something. You feel more present. You become more patient. You start to appreciate small wins instead of chasing big ones that never feel enough. You stop comparing your life to everyone else's highlight reel, and you begin to build something real, something that belongs to you. That feeling of being in charge of yourself, nothing compares to that. The world will always pull at your attention. Emails, calls, noise, pressure. But when you've taken the time to center yourself, to check in with your own mind, those distractions lose their grip. You become grounded. You walk into your day with calm instead of chaos. You lead instead of follow. That's a strength that spreads to every area of your life. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a consistent one. One that matches your values. One that gives you space to think. One that reminds you who you are. Because when you forget who you are, you'll fall into habits that don't belong to you. You'll chase things that don't matter. You'll waste time proving yourself to people who were never paying attention. But when you build a rhythm that reflects what matters to you, you gain something more valuable than time. You gain momentum. And momentum makes things easier. You stop forcing effort. Your energy flows. You move with clarity. You stop guessing. You start knowing. And every day that begins with that kind of clarity is a day with power behind it. The world rewards people who take responsibility for their time. The ones who say, "This is my life, and I will not start my days by accident." The truth is, most people don't realize how much their first hour is shaping the rest of their day. And once you realize it, it's hard to go back. You begin to crave that structure. Not because it's strict, but because it brings freedom. When you know what you're doing, you feel lighter. You don't need to rush. You're not chasing every little thing. You're steady. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. It's about waking up with purpose. It's about refusing to spend the first part of your day in reaction mode. You choose to lead. You choose to think for yourself. You take small actions that remind your mind and body. We're here to grow. That's what separates people who feel overwhelmed from those who feel in control. Each morning is a test, not a test of perfection, a test of consistency, a test of character, a test of whether or not you will show up for the future you say you want. And every time you pass that test, your self-respect grows. Your mind starts to believe that what you say matters. And when that belief grows strong, the excuses start to fade. You stop relying on motivation. You rely on decisions. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's about caring enough to give yourself a better chance. It's about protecting your focus. It's about choosing not to let your morning be stolen by distractions that don't care about you. When you start your day with care, with clarity, with strength, you carry that into every meeting, every task, every conversation. Most people drift into the day. They don't decide how to use their energy. They don't think about what matters. And then they wonder why the day feels out of control. But when you begin with purpose, you anchor yourself. You set a tone. You raise a standard. And the people around you feel it too. Your presence becomes more solid. Your energy more grounded. Your decisions more thoughtful. This is not about changing everything overnight. It's about doing one thing with consistency. One thing that reminds you every day, I'm not here to waste time. I'm here to build. And building begins with the way you show up when no one's watching. That early hour, when the world is still quiet, that's where your edge is. That's where your advantage lives. When you treat your mornings like they matter, you begin to advantage lives. When you treat your mornings like they matter, you begin to treat your life like it matters. And when you live like your life matters, you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop looking for the easy way. You start creating real progress. Not flashes of effort that burn out, but steady growth that holds strong. You build your future one day at a time. And the first hour of that day is your foundation. If the foundation is strong, the day stands strong. If it's weak, everything wobbles. It's not a dramatic transformation that changes your life. It's the quiet decision to take control each morning, even when no one else sees it. That decision shapes your mindset, and your mindset becomes your lens. The way you see your opportunities, your challenges, your time. When you rise and begin the day on your terms, your confidence starts to grow. You feel it in the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you handle unexpected problems. You're no longer chasing after time. You're ahead of it. You're moving with it, not against it. That shift makes everything smoother, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You don't have to look far to see what happens when people give up their mornings. They wake up already behind, rushing, frustrated, skipping meals, skipping movement, skipping stillness. They go straight from sleep to stress, and that becomes normal. But just because something is common doesn't mean it's wise. You weren't meant to live in a rush. You weren't made to feel like life is always happening to you. You were made to take charge, and it begins with the first hour. That hour is not for the world. It's not for the noise. It's for you, for your thoughts, for your growth, for your choices. If you give yourself just a little time to be centered before the world comes knocking, you'll find that you handle the rest of the day with far more strength. There's something powerful about waking up and saying, I know what I need to do today, and I've already started. That's what separates people who make progress from those who just stay busy. Busy doesn't mean productive. You can fill your whole day and go to bed wondering what you actually achieved. But if your morning is aligned with what matters most to you, that alignment carries through. You become more intentional with your time. You stop wasting it. You stop waiting for the perfect moment to begin. You've already begun. You train your mind every morning, whether you realize it or not. You either train it to react or you train it to lead. You either train it to follow distractions or to focus on priorities. The first thoughts you feed your mind in the morning become the tone for the rest of the day. If those thoughts are calm, focused, grateful, you carry that mindset with you. You make better decisions because your mind isn't cluttered with chaos. When people say they don't have time for a routine, what they really mean is they haven't made it important enough. Because time is there, you're just spending it somewhere else. And where you spend your time, you spend your life. If your first 30 minutes go to things that drain you, you've already handed away some of your energy. But if they go to things that strengthen you, you've already invested in your well-being. One of the greatest signs of growth is when you stop treating discipline like punishment and start seeing it as self-respect. Waking up on time, eating something nourishing, moving your body, planning your day, those aren't chores. Those are gifts. They're signals that you care about your future enough to start strong. And when you keep doing them, even when it's not exciting, you're proving something to yourself. I can trust me. That's not a small thing. Self-trust is everything. Without it, you hesitate. You question every move. You second-guess your goals. But with it, you begin to move with conviction. You stop waiting for permission. You give yourself permission to grow. And that's what a structured start to your day gives you. It gives you strength from the inside out. You don't need to copy anyone else's routine. You don't need to chase the latest trend or force yourself to do what doesn't feel right. You need something that's yours, something that helps you think clearly, feel grounded, act with direction. It can be simple. In fact, simple works better. 5 minutes of reflection, 10 minutes of movement, a few lines in a journal, a plan for your top 3 priorities, a moment to pause and ask, what do I want to give today? That's enough to shift your focus from chaos to clarity. And the best part, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it right every time. What matters is that you keep coming back to it, that you don't quit when you miss a day, that you don't let one slip up become your story. You get up the next day and you begin again. That's how you build strength. That's how you build character. That's how you build a life you're proud of, by choosing not to give up on yourself. Each morning is a chance to grow, to break free from yesterday's mistakes, to choose better, to think differently, to act with more courage. And when you begin your day with that kind of power, you don't just survive the day, you move through it with purpose. You look people in the eye. You speak with honesty. You follow through. You carry yourself like someone who's building something that matters. It's not about waking up for productivity's sake. It's about showing up for your life. It's about creating space to breathe before the demands come rushing in. That space makes you more resilient. It helps you respond, not react. It reminds you that you're not just a list of tasks. You're a human being with values, goals, and the ability to choose what comes next. The world moves fast. And if you're not careful, you'll get swept up in it. You'll spend the whole day chasing things that don't matter and wonder why you feel empty. But when you take the time in the morning to remind yourself what does matter, you carry that reminder with you. It shapes the way you work. It shapes the way you treat others. It shapes the way you handle setbacks. There's power in starting your day with discipline. There's strength in choosing not to waste the most valuable hour of your life. There's dignity in showing up for yourself before showing up for everyone else. And there's progress in every small win. When you stack those wins day after day, they begin to compound. They become habits. And those habits begin to create a future that reflects the effort you've been putting in. You don't need to wait for a new month or a new year. You just need to make a better choice tomorrow morning. That's where it starts. One quiet decision before the world wakes up. One moment of direction before the chaos. 1 hour of clarity before the distractions. That's how you turn a good intention into a consistent habit. That's how you build something that lasts. You earn momentum when you start early. It builds with each small, clear decision. You rise, you follow through, and that simple act tells your mind, today, I'm in control. That feeling becomes your fuel. You move into your tasks not with dread, but with direction. You're not hoping the day goes well, you're preparing it to go well. It's not about waking up before the sun just to be busy. It's about being deliberate, doing what matters before distractions take over. When you train yourself to focus in the quiet hours, you carry that discipline into everything else. You start noticing when your time is being wasted. You catch yourself before slipping into bad habits. You recognize your energy is limited, and you begin to protect it. And what you do first influences what you do next. If the first thing you do is take care of your mind and body, you're more likely to take better care of everything else. You make sharper choices. You're more honest about what matters and what doesn't. You become less reactive and more intentional. That's a kind of power that no one can hand to you. You earn it by showing up for yourself again and again. Your routine doesn't have to be dramatic to be effective. What it needs to be is consistent. The real results come when you do it, even when it's not exciting. When you wake up and don't feel like it, but you do it anyway. That's the moment you grow. That's the moment you separate yourself from the person who quits. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It shows up quietly and it wins quietly. But over time, that quiet work builds a loud life. And the truth is, life doesn't wait. Time keeps moving. The world keeps turning. But the person who owns their morning owns their direction. They don't just drift. They drive. They know where they're going, even when the day throws curveballs. Because they've already prepared. They've already anchored themselves. They've already made the tough choices before the distractions could. This habit strengthens more than your schedule. It strengthens your character. It's easy to hit snooze. It's easy to say, I'll start next week. It's easy to make promises and not keep them. What's hard is deciding that you've had enough of that cycle, that you're ready to prove something different to yourself, that you'll do the right thing even when it's the hard thing. When that mindset becomes normal to you, everything shifts. You stop needing motivation to act. You start relying on your own integrity. You do the work not because someone's watching, but because that's who you've become. And that kind of identity is powerful. It's stable. It's rooted. No wind can knock it down. People often say, I don't have time. But the truth is, we all get the same hours. The question is, what do you do with your first one? Do you start from a place of panic or a place of purpose? Do you reach for your phone or do you reach for clarity? You don't have to overhaul your life to make a difference. You just have to stop handing your mornings away to things that don't serve you. And it's not about perfection. It's about progress. If you missed the mark yesterday, fine. You're still in control of today. One decision, one commitment, one act of respect toward your future. That's where change begins. That's where strength grows. That's where identity is forged. Every person you admire, every story of success you've heard, it started with consistent private choices, the ones no one talks about, the ones that don't get attention, but they're the ones that matter most, because that's where real growth happens, in the quiet, in the early, in the focused. If your mornings are scattered, your life will reflect that. If your mornings are clear, your life begins to align, not overnight, not with magic, but with real, steady progress. And that kind of progress, it lasts, because it's built on discipline. It's built on your word. It's built on effort that compounds. There's nothing flashy about showing up each morning and doing the work, but there's something deeply meaningful about it. You start to feel proud, not because of what you've achieved yet, but because of how you're living. Because you're not running anymore. You're not hiding behind excuses. You're taking ownership. And when you do that, people start to notice. Not just what you do, but how you carry yourself. There's a calmness in someone who's prepared. There's a quiet power in someone who doesn't need chaos to feel alive. That's what you're building. Not just habits, but presence. Not just routine, but identity. If you want to change your life, don't wait for life to hand you the perfect situation. Create the structure. Build the habit. Get up when it's hard. Follow through when it's dull. Stay consistent when no one sees it. Because that's where transformation lives. Not in the big moments, but in the steady ones. And as the days go by, you start to feel something shift inside you. It's not just the discipline. It's the peace. It's the sense of being ahead instead of constantly catching up. You no longer feel rushed into your day, forced into reacting, constantly responding to someone else's urgency. You feel ready, prepared, you know what matters, and you're acting like it. That quiet confidence grows each time you choose to begin your morning with structure and intention. You see, the world doesn't need more people running around stressed, burned out, and scattered. It needs people who are grounded, people who know how to think before they speak, who know how to respond instead of explode, who can face a problem and say, I've got this. Not because everything is easy, but because they've trained themselves to be steady. And that steadiness, it starts the moment you wake up. You give yourself a gift when you start your...
Hello everyone, Dailykeymotivation 2025. Today's speak carry that into every meeting, every task, every conversation. Most people different into the day. They don't decide how to use their energy. They don't think about that matter and they are when the day feels out of control. But when you begin with purpose, you answer yourself, you set a tone, you reach a standard, and the people around you feel to it too. Your presence become more solid, your energy more grounded, your decision more thoughtful. This is not about changing everything overnight. It's about doing one thing with consistency, one thing that reminds you every day. I am not to waste time. I am here the build and building beginning with the way you show up when and no one watching that early hour when the world is still quiet. That's for your age. That's where advanced test lives. When you treat your morning like their matter, you begin to treat your life like it matters.